My name is Leila Hanaumi. This is my sign name.
How did you get started with your Instagram journey?
I started my Instagram at Today I Awaken in 2018. I'll always remember, it was the year after my son was born. So, really, at that time my life was waking up when my son yelled. I'd feel the vibration and wake up. I'd stumble over to feed him. And that's how I would start my day every day. So really, my life was very chaotic and work was my identity. And then I became a mom and I'm also a wife. So I just felt like I was juggling, reacting to whoever needed me. Until it really caught up to me. Seriously, I can't keep this up. Just surviving, day to day to day. How do I be in control of my life? It really came back to how I was waking up every day. I wake up to my son's crying. And I decided, no. I told myself, you know what? I'm going to set my alarm and get up at 5 a.m. And I'm going to have that morning time to myself first. And then when my son wakes up, I'm ready. So I set that alarm. I felt the need to document this. I set up an account on Instagram, and it really was spontaneous. Today I awaken. I liked that it was action-based. I am going to do this. Today. Right now, this moment. I'm taking action. For me, it made a world of difference because getting up for myself, talking with myself. I mean, I would literally look in the mirror and say to myself, what's up today? What is my goal today? I'd feel great, then my baby would wake up. And I'd go to him happily, hi, I'm ready. Then in 2020 when COVID hit, I had my second child, born in February of 2020. It was like I never stopped maternity leave, like it just lasted that whole year. So that year, I mean, motivations, goals, what are you talking about? We're all drowning. We're all trying to survive. Then, Wawa, a deaf rapper, released a song called Loud. He challenged us to do a dance. And I just thought, why not? Let's support him. And I needed some joy. So, I joined the dance challenge to sign Loud and posted the video. Then I realized, like I said, I don't have to limit myself or put myself in a box. What's wrong with bending the rules and just trying something different? And I realized, oh, I can do that. So I continued to post more videos. That year, in 2022, I left my job and I decided, you know what? I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. I never would have imagined that I would decide that. That year, I really challenged myself to be creative. So these days, you won't see content about getting up early. I'm not really coaching you on how to get up early. It's really more about, how do you want to live your life? Where do you have time for yourself? You know, figuring out self-care. Having that conversation with yourself about what you want out of life. And answering that call. And that was mine. It evolved from how it started until it became a space where I express my creativity. I perform my ASL songs, and that was how I got the Barbie film opportunity. It just became a place where I express myself.
Not every movie has a streaming ASL version. Why Barbie?
Many people don't realize that ASL and English are two distinct languages. So for deaf people, many of us feel like signing is natural for us. My brain processes visual information more easily with sign. I'm adept with reading and writing. I even majored in English. But still, ASL is my natural language. Period. Particularly for a movie like Barbie. It's not just a movie. It's a cultural moment. It's a message about our society and it's filled with cultural references. When you see it in ASL, you actually get the full meaning. It's fully accessible. And it literally started with one person thinking, hey, we should make this movie accessible in ASL. Arturo Garcia. He works on the production team. Really nothing to do with accessibility. But because he already had an association with the deaf community, he decided he wanted to become an interpreter so he could sign. He thought, what's that experience like for deaf people? I want to remind everybody that you literally do have power. You do. You don't have to be in the right position. You don't have to be at the highest job level. You can speak up and say, hey, I think we should. And just try. Because that's literally how Barbie with ASL happened. Warner Brothers Studio, they said, yes, let's do it. They partnered with a third party who was responsible for the ASL access filming. And so that team created Ant-Man with Jack Cook on Disney. They worked with me and Jack Cook became my ASL coach. The end result was a screening with Margot Robbie, Barbie herself, and also the producer of Barbie, there in person. We did an interview together, with all of the LA deaf community sitting in the theater. It was beautiful, and streamed it on Max. So during my interview with Margot, the interpreter who signed for her, was right behind her in my line of sight. And then the interpreter speaking for me sat in the audience. When we finished, I went to go find my kids before they left, and I asked my son, "What do you think of the movie?" And the first thing he said, "Does Barbie understand you signing?" And I said, "No, I had an interpreter who spoke for me," but his first thought was, "Barbie understands you signing." And I really did feel like she could understand. Imagine that. She could learn to sign.
How did you go about creating the ASL interpretation for the film?
So really it was a very intense process with the ASL access team, who doesn't know ASL. And they do this for other languages, dubbing and similar translations. So now they're applying the same process for ASL. Warner Brothers was awesome. They had a dialogue reel where they explained every single reference, every single joke. They would explain why that line is funny. And that really helped me understand how to translate it properly. I would watch the scene and I would film myself on Marco Polo. I'd be watching and signing, translating. And Jack would watch and give feedback. For every scene, she'd write the ASL gloss. I'd just watch Barbie over and over. I listened to the songs 24/7, while I'm driving, while I'm washing dishes, just listening to them over and over. Barbie was the only thing in my mind for 3 weeks.
What did filming for Barbie with ASL actually look like?
I flew in, and on set we had a green screen. We had a TV monitor so I could watch. Nobody fed me lines. I just watched the movie, which was flipped to a mirror image, because I needed to match the characters' positions, so that when the film was done, I would match them. It looks off if I don't match the characters. It creates confusion too. Which character is that? So that was essential. Greta Gerwig is a genius, but damn it, she loves to start a scene. She loves to start a line off scene. So it was like, if we'd be like Barbie at the beach and she's a speaker line, and in a different scene. I don't know who says it yet, what position that person is in. So I had to memorize and predict which position they would be. And that was the number one reason why we had to redo takes, because I memorized lines, I understood lines, the translation was set. But I would always be in the wrong position with role shifting. I watched scene by scene and I would go ahead and sign the take. Then I'd review it, and if I caught something off, I would retake it again. So it took 2 days to film the full movie. And I went back home and waited while they edited and I reviewed it. I caught a couple things that needed a redo. So I flew back one more time, for retakes. In total, it was 3 days of filming.
Can you explain why you were credited as an ASL performer, not an interpreter?
It's funny because they were discussing how they credit me in the film. They were going to label me as a deaf interpreter, but they realized they already have an actual interpreter on set. What I am is an ASL performer, because this is not just interpreting, it's a performance as well. Performing involves more acting, too. Because I needed to become that character. All of the characters, right. I had to embody that character's goals, their tone, etc. I know interpreters should give all that information, too. But performing is more like I am becoming that person. I'm aware that when you're looking at me, you're missing things on the screen. So I want to make sure I'm matching. I have to consider that person's voice, their body language. I was showing all of that. It's a huge difference between the CEO of Mattel, Will Ferrell, who's staunch and aggressive, and Ruth, the woman who invented Barbie. She's small and wise and dainty. Then you have Barbie herself, and Ken. They all had their own facial expressions, body language, everything that I had to embody. And I don't want to take away from the audience's experience of watching the movie. I don't want to alter anything or imply. Sometimes regular interpreting involves clarifying, checking in, giving more context to make sure it's understood. Because interpreting is about a clear exchange of information. Performing, whether the audience understands it or not. My job is to make sure that the movie's message, tone, emotions, and goals are delivered in a different language. You receive it however you want.
Do you think there are ways that Hollywood can be even more accessible than Barbie was?
Some stories and characters would require two different performers to really establish the relationship, and to fit the demographics of the characters. What if it's a love story between two different genders? One person plays both characters. I love you, a bit odd. So for Barbie, we already established it was one performer. Fine. And I think Barbie is such a strong feminist movie, with mostly women characters. Well, there's Ken, and the Mattel CEO, and I was fine with playing those characters. But for a woman to deliver the whole movie, okay, it fits. Barbie with ASL was released at the same time as Barbie on streaming platforms, not the original theatrical release. So for this experience they already planned to have the ASL. The access, budget, the team was ready. They filmed this so that both movies were ready to release at the same time. Imagine if movies were released with an ASL 1 ready too, and the team was actually part of the production. That would be the ultimate experience.
After all this career growth, what are you most proud of?
You know, the easy answer to what I'm most proud of would be Barbie, yes. But for me, that was in my natural element. That's exactly what I'm good at. I'm good with translation. So that was just natural for me. It was just a wonderful opportunity to elevate my skills and share that gift with the community. But really, what I'm most proud of is just having the ovaries to quit my job for a year and stay at home with my kids. Because that is exactly when I allowed myself to elevate my craft and share it with the community. And that really just paved the way to where I am now. It literally did change my life. This would not be possible if my husband didn't support me. And that's where I think about how many women are out there who want to pursue their dream, but they just don't have the support of a partner. And everyone has a season. So sometimes it looks like, right now I'm thriving and this is my season. But I also have support. I have a support system. I have things in place. And if you're a mom and you don't have those, your time will come. You just need to know that not everyone is starting in the same place. We're all starting somewhere, so just build toward your goal.
What advice would you give to a young deaf person who wants to follow in your footsteps?
This is one of many tips, but for me, work with people, really. One of my dreams is to write. And I remember I wrote a short film for communication services for the deaf, CSD. And I struggled with it until I asked a friend of mine, Chase Burton, "Can you write this with me?" So we worked together and made that script happen. And we asked one more writer to join us, William Major, who's based in the UK. And that's when we nailed it. I had thought, maybe I'm not a writer after all. Maybe that ship has sailed. I missed it. I'm not a writer anymore, until I worked with others. And then, everybody brings their own skills to make it happen. And I was expecting to do it alone. But you don't have to do it alone. Just work together.
This program was made possible in part through funds from the Genesee Valley Council on the Arts and the New York State Senate.